Welcome everybody to the third stop on the 2025 Delta McKenzie ASA Tour. This is the Easton Hoyt Pro-Am. We're here, Bossier City Civic Center in Bossier City, Louisiana. We are going to start things off with Senior Pro, but before we get to that, welcome everybody to the Competition Archery Media Broadcast booth. I'm PJ Riley, Nathan Brooks. Nathan, we kept hearing about all this bad weather. We had a pretty good weekend, I think.
Yeah, it's turned out really good. Rain is always a potential for down here in this part of the country this time of the year. I guess it really is anywhere, or any time for that matter, but definitely this time of year, and it has turned out to be a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, the courses were great. You know, the folks out at the base, we shoot at Camp Minden. That's where the qualifications are held. That is a military installation. They roll out the red carpet for us. Everything out there, the facility was just beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. I've spent most of my time working in the vendor area because there's been a lot of people, and so that's a really good thing. But I have walked around a little bit, saw the facilities. Beautiful pine trees, everything that's out there for archery is fantastic, top notch.
Absolutely, and now we are here in the Civic Center, Bossier City. We've been here a couple years, great facility. Nathan, Senior Pro is our first division. There we see our leaderboard running down for us.
Well, we're going to start from the bottom and go up. I see Tony Tazza at 410. He's a mainstay to this Senior Pro division. You got Ray Young at 412, just ahead. Probably on bonus rings is Brad Martin, and then Darrin Christenberry also at 412. So stacked in pretty tight, 412 to 410. The very top of this leaderboard is Keith Ahlstrom at 416. Got really hot those last 5 targets, so that just catapulted him right up there to the top.
Absolutely. All right, Nathan. Well, we want to get to the action right away, so we're going to introduce our archers. All right, the Senior Pro Division. Your number 5 qualifier with a score of 410 and 6 bonus rings. From Johnstown, Pennsylvania, shooting for Hoyt, Tony Tazza. Your number 4 qualifier with a score of 412 and 9 bonus rings. From Rockport, Indiana, shooting for Matthews, Ray Young. And your number 3 qualifier with a score of 412 and 10 bonus rings. From Vicksburg, Mississippi, shooting for Matthews, Brad Martin. Our second place qualifier with a score of 412 and 10 bonus rings. From Spencer, Indiana, shooting for Elite, Darrin Christenberry. And our number 1 qualifier with a score of 416 and 13 bonus rings. From Waxhaw, North Carolina, shooting for Elite, Keith Ahlstrom. All right, Darrin, so starting off here, this is what we call unknown distance. Darrin, Nathan.
Nathan. Look, I'm still in blue. I know it's confusing. I do have some gray hair.
So this is what we call unknown distance. So for folks who are just tuning in for the first time, explain what that means.
Yeah, so these archers are out there on the ranges for 40 targets, judging the distance, then 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards, figuring out how far these targets are. They do not have a rangefinder that would tell them the distance, so if they miss the yardage here, it shows up where that arrow lands really quick.
And we hear this is a maximum 50 yard. That's the class. The longest they're going to shoot, potentially 50 yards. There's a little wiggle room there. At 50 yards, if they misjudge by 1 yard, what happens?
Depending on the speed and the size of the arrow, you're going to see a rise or a fall. So let's just say it was they set their sight on 49 and it was actually 50. Potentially anywhere from about 1.25 inches to 2 inch difference in where the arrow lands.
All right, these guys are excellent at this game. We're going to go out to our director of judges is Scott Parrott. And we got an 8. for Keith Ahlstrom on the HHA Ram.
That's our leader, and so when you do that right off the bat, I'm guessing that he's looking at his yardages and saying, uh-oh, something ain't quite right. I need to make some changes here.
Next up, Darrin Christenberry on the Stan Leopard. Darrin Christenberry gets 10.
That puts him in a good spot. Keith just came 2 points closer to him.
Now we're moving over to Brad Martin on the Gas Bowstrings Coyote.
So something you're going to see probably on all these first targets is these archers want to make sure that their yardages feel right and that the lighting is good with their shooting and everything on the first target. Most of the time they will shoot a center 10 or aim towards the center 10 unless they're wanting to get aggressive just right away, which is not common, but see, there's another perfect center 10. That's just basically filling it out. That's Ray Young. And that's just filling out the lighting, the feel of this distance, and they're having to get all those little intangibles right. And then now it's time to mash the gas and see what they can do.
Coming up to Tony Tazza here on the Schwacker Wolverine.
This could be your anomaly. Okay, I assume he called
up.
He did call upper and he got it. So Tony Tazza, who we see in these shoot-offs almost every event for the last 3 or 4 years, he's probably in a little different league with comfort than these other guys are because he does it so well, so often, and wins so much. So he's mashing the gas right off the bat.
Ray Young, 422 and 9 bonus rings. And Tony Tazza.
Tony was the winner of our first event this year in Foley, the Hoyt Easton Pro-Am.
So there is your 1 and 2 qualifier coming in here. Keith Ahlstrom and Darrin Christenberry. Again, like I said, 2 points closer now. So top to bottom, it's just a 2-point difference between first and fifth.
First and fifth. So when we go down there, Nathan, what we're going to see is there's going to be multiple scoring areas. Right there you see that Wolverine. There's a scoring ring about the size of a little bigger than a coffee can. There you see it with the 3 rings inside of it. The large ring is 10 points. 2 of those rings, smaller rings, are worth 12 points. There's an 8-point ring around that, and 5-point is basically outside of everything. Of course, a miss goes for 0. We'll get a look at this target when we start scoring. We'll point those out to you. But basically, we're looking at 0, 5, 8, 10, 12, and that one high left there. That's a 14. That one's the most valuable ring because of that high risk, high reward. You miss it, you go to an 8 or a 5.
We got Tony Tazza with it.
Yeah, it's a big risk, huge risk, big gamble, and I doubt we see many 14 shot in this round just because it's so tight from top to bottom. It's a big gamble. Now, if you want to win, typically that has to be hit at some point in time to get a win. That's rough for Keith right there. That's another 8.
Second one.
So he just basically put himself back in position with these other guys because I saw a lot of 10s out there. That's Darrin Christenberry.
And that center, you can see that's in a center scoring ring. That actually is only worth 10 points. It's not a bonus ring.
Yep.
It's in there. But 10, we kind of think of that as par.
Yes, yeah. And so, you see what's happening there is, these guys, obviously they're shooting at some 12s, but at the same time, being cautious. I don't think you're going to see that reckless shooting out of this group because I said it before, but their scores are tight. So nobody's wanting to make that big mistake.
That was Brad Martin with a 10 there on the bedded, but Bodoodle bedded buck. That's going to twist my tongue trying to say that.
Bodoodle bedded buck. Bodoodle bedded buck.
Ray Young with a 10 on the Wolverine.
Yeah, Brad, is this Brad's first year in senior pro, or is it his second year in senior pro?
He has not been there long. I don't know if it's his first or his second, but it's great to see him out here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's been around the scene for a long time, just stepped into the pro class when he started shooting as a senior pro, and obviously he's got a lot of games.
Yeah, we should mention that Wolverine is the smallest target out there, and that bedded buck, well, you know, we don't know the distance, but it's the farthest. Whatever it is, that's the farthest.
Yeah, it's hard to say here, but I would venture to say that
Archers, your 1 minute starts
coyote's
now.
probably the closest target out there, but it has to be noted that the coyote is also the smallest, probably the smallest target. I don't know, that and the wolverine are basically really close to the same size.
The scoring rings, Nathan, they're the same size on all the targets. It's just the target is smaller.
Yes, with the exception of the 8-ring.
Right. Yes.
And how far you
Good
can
point.
miss from a 12. So, for instance, let's just say you're shooting at the low 12. On a coyote, if you miss just a little bit low, you are going to be a 5.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And if you shoot a little low on the ram target, well, you got a long ways to go down there before you hit that 5.
Right.
You're still a solid 8. So,
you see it. So
look
that dark line is what we call a core line. That's actually a removable piece of the target. So that's a 10 for Ray Young there on the HHA Ram. We're going to come over to Tony Tazza on the Stan Leopard.
He called the upper,
On the leopard.
and he's just over the top of it.
4 and 8, yeah.
And I really expected Tony to be shooting hard at these.
Yeah, coming from 5th place, he's got not much to lose there. Now we're coming to who was our leader when we came in.
He called upper, and this is going to be a caller that they're going to have to do down there at the target. See, this is really hard for us to see, and hard for our viewers to see.
Because we can't see the underside of that arrow.
Absolutely. Now, they're scoring this from underneath, and the arrow only has to touch the line.
Yeah.
So this is a foam target, and a lot of times when that arrow penetrates that foam, it wants to pull and tug that foam, and it can stretch a line, and that line might actually only be 1/8 of an inch wide when it's burned into that foam, but when the arrow starts pulling it, it stretches it, and it can stretch it all the way over to where it touches it, and sometimes they're 1/4 inch wide when the arrow hits. So so they give it a call, and
it was a 10.
It was a 10
on that one, and a 10 there for Darrin Christenberry on the bedded buck.
Good
Bowdoodle
solid,
bedded buck.
good solid 10. You see those guys they're hammering that center 10 on that bedded buck.
Darrin Christenberry, who you're looking at there, normally sitting in the booth here very often. Won his first tournament as an ASA Pro left-handed in the senior division last year at the Metropolis tournament, and that was a big day for him. Well, you know the whole story of him switching from right to left-handed because he was ready to give up and quit the game. And
big day for all of us. Honestly, I felt like I just won an event when he won. You know, that's the kind of camaraderie, I guess, to some degree, and friendship that we share. As you know, his success is my success, and but I think you upgraded over here, PJ. I mean, I'm better looking. There's a lot of things that I got going for me that Darrin doesn't have going for him. Although he's getting to shoot and I'm having to sit and watch. I tell you what I don't have as good as Darrin does is style, his sense of style. You see that arrow wrap that he's got going on there?
Yep.
That has his name on it. I mean, he is a fancy dude.
He must know someone special. We should mention, Nathan, that they shoot 5 arrows. At the end of 5 arrows, anyone within 10 points of the leader will shoot a 6th and final arrow. And right now, we are shooting our 4th arrow, and pretty much we're looking at it very well could be that everyone's shooting.
Yeah, so they have a 1-minute time clock that starts, and for them to shoot, for all 5 of these guys. And you see Darrin, he let down. My guess is he's wanting to really focus on hitting this one. He did not call upper, so he's just high. But he had plenty of time, so he let down. Something he didn't like about the shot, got out of it and started over.
There's a look at Brad Martin. He didn't like that shot.
No.
Did not like it. He's up first on the
I didn't catch
the Ram.
that one.
I didn't see what he scored. We got a 10 for Ray Young on the Stan Leopard. Coming over to Tony, shooting the gas bowstrings Coyote.
I can tell you that it looks like a dead center 10 is what it looks like, but it could possibly be up there close to that upper. He did call it.
Yep, Tony is an often upper shooter. 10 for Tony Tazza.
Yeah.
Now we come back to Keith Ahlstrom on the bow doodle bedded buck. That's looking kind of like a 10 as well.
So something that has to be said here too, all these scores are tied with the exception of Tony, who is 2 points behind, but when they go into the final arrow, bonus rings matter big time.
You see that on the right side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that's how you break the ties from first, second, third.
Yeah.
So literally a win can happen by how many bonus rings you have, and at this point Keith has the most bonus rings of all these guys out here.
And that's for, we should mention, Nathan, what happened is to come in here, we shot 2 days. One day they shot 20 targets. This morning they shot 20 targets. That's how we got to our scores that brought them in to this, to the final, to the shootdown. Because their class had, I don't know how many they had, but it was probably in the vicinity of 30 or so. Well, I'll look that up. But these are your top 5 qualifiers. That's how they qualified to get here to the shootdown. So the senior pro class had 39 shooters this weekend, and these are your top 5.
Something that I take notice of, you look at Tony Tazza's 12 count, he's 7, Keith is 13. So what that tells me when I see Tony's score versus Keith's score, that means Tony did not shoot very many 8s,
right?
No 5s, because it's a equal, or it's an even number.
Yeah.
So he missed the 10 ring very few times.
So here we go. This is our 5th arrow, and it's just 2 points. We got a 4-way tie on score in the lead. We need some bonus rings here, Nathan.
Yeah, good 10 ring for Brad. I think Keith.
Oh, got it. Darrin Christenberry. Oh, center punched it.
I think
HHA
Keith
ramp.
actually got the Wolverine too, but I'm not certain.
Ooh, yeah. He called upper.
Oh, Tony's low.
Tony's low. Nope. All right, let's go down here to Scott Parrott.
Look at Darrin, he's pretty happy about that.
Oh, yeah, look at that. No question. Yeah. On that last arrow, he needed it.
Brad Martin on the leopard. 10 for Brad.
Just under that. That's a good shot at it too. You know, that's what you was talking about in the beginning. That's probably a yard of distance right there, just falling out.
Yeah.
Ray Young on the Coyote.
Ray Young on the gas bowstrings Coyote. That looks like a 10 as well. Yep.
10 for Ray.
Just over it. Again, could be just a yard of distance. And Tony held a long time for him on this bedded buck.
Yeah.
And we saw that the arrow landed a little bit low. I don't know if it was a shot execution issue or he just misjudged the distance to it. But his line, you know, on the center 10, his line is really good.
Yeah.
So most likely it was just yardage.
That is an 8 for Tony, so he's going to drop. Well, that's a 4-point swing between him and the top. Darrin so far, maybe Keith as well.
And he was 2 points behind.
Yeah.
So technically it'll be 6 points.
Oh,
between him and the top.
all right.
That gives us a little bit of separation.
So,
Yep.
Keith Ahlstrom and Darrin Christenberry put up matching 12s there. To go into the finals, they're going to be at 464.
And we have Brad Martin and Ray Young tied at 462.
Brad and Ray are going to stay at 462. Tony will be at 458. But all 5 are going to shoot this last arrow.
Yeah. So I can already tell you, Tony's going to shoot it at 14. He will step up. He's got nothing to lose. He's in 5th place, so he'll likely shoot it at 14 if he hits it. that puts the leaders in a position where, I mean, all they'll still have to do is shoot a 10 to beat his score, but at the same time, that's his best play. And he's got nothing to lose.
It will go in that order that you see there from bottom to top. Tony's going to shoot first. Keith will shoot last. And so what happens, Nathan, is we have our last chance archery, last chance arrow. So our judges have brought out a deer target and placed it randomly. And Scott Parrott is going to put these guys, he's going to pick a spot for them to shoot from. They will get a minute to judge it. And then we're going to start shooting. So if you're Tony, you got to judge this thing and then shoot it right away. If you're Keith, you get to kind of see.
Yeah, and you know, when you do this a lot, I mean, these guys have been doing it pretty much their whole lives, but when you do this a lot, you get an ear for what it sounds like to shoot certain distances. So you can literally close your eyes and listen to a bow go off, and then you hear the report when the arrow actually hits, and you can have a rough idea about how far that target is. Now, I'm not saying you get right down to the yard, but it can help give you confidence that what you're seeing is right or wrong. And many times I've walked up to a target and had an inclination about what the distance might be, and then someone leads off and they shoot him in the back or in the belly, and you think, maybe I need to look at this again because that didn't sound right to me either.
Yeah.
And then there's something you missed. And so luck of the draw or draw order can be really important when you're out on the range too, because typically Scott likes to set the pro courses really tough, and he likes the little targets as far as he can put them out there.
Well, Nathan, let's explain why that is, because I found out from Don Bailey. It's not because he wants that to be a difficult shot. It's because he doesn't want to carry the big targets the farthest distances.
And I totally understand.
that I guarantee you that ram probably weighs pushing 40 pounds. You can carry that, or you can carry that little tiny Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, for sure. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Scott actually asked Delta McKenzie to make a butterfly if they would.
So our archers are judging now. Scott Parrott has picked the shooting position. He's moved them up maybe, I don't know,
maybe
3
5 yards.
Something. I can't see.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But they're shooting at an angle. They'll have a better idea. I mean, once you shoot your first arrow in this, in an inside, well, and I'm going to back up. I'm almost saying things I don't want to say, because I don't know how all these guys think, but I know how I've thought through this stuff before. When I come inside, typically that first arrow gives you a really good idea about how far all the rest of the targets are. I mean, you still got to figure that out. Ooh, there's a shot at the 14.
14, he missed it.
Yeah, and so he's a little low, but he's more right than he is anything. And that's what people might not understand when they're looking at this on the screen. You easily see the 14, but when he's looking at that, he can't see that 14.
He can't see that,
right?
Yeah, it's the same. The ring is the same color as the target. He's going to have magnification in his scope, but still. Well, and add to that, this is our senior class, so we're over 50. We can't see anyway.
They can't see it anyway. But yeah, so maybe that's a better look right there. So you're looking at Ray.
Yeah.
Looking through binoculars at the target. So where is the 14 on that target? Now don't look at the big box down in the low right screen, or low right portion of your screen, because you can see it, but Ray can't see that.
Yeah.
So he's having to aim at an area that is just basically blank and execute a shot that he thinks is correct. But that's fun. I love this.
Oh. Just low of Tony. Both of them pulled right there, Nathan.
Yeah. So I tell you how I shoot that shot. I can see the joining line there where the target gets put together, the rear portion of the target and the center portion of the target.
Yep.
And so I basically look at that. I go up that line and realize I need to be about 2 inches to the left. And then you see the core line where the core is put in the target, and I know that's probably the bottom of the 14. So you're just basically putting coordinates together.
Yeah.
You cross the T, dot the I, and let it rip.
Here comes Brad. He's going to take his stab at it. So right now, little more. Right now, Brad's on the podium.
Yeah. He doesn't need a 14. A 10 ring puts him third place.
It just got dead quiet in here, Nathan. Oh, 10.
That's pretty smart, honestly. If he was shooting at the upper, he just missed to the right. If he was shooting at the lower, he just over-judged it.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do anything crazy there.
No worse than third for Brad
right.
Martin. We still got 2 shooters, but no worse than third.
That's podium. That's smart archery.
Sure. We should say that, they're shooting for thousands of dollars here in contingency money that go to first, second, and third. So that's where you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to be on that podium.
Thumbs up when you're ready. Start the clock.
So Darrin's looking at, okay, he doesn't need a 14. I mean, if he hits the 14, well, then it puts pressure on Keith where he has to do that. But a 12 is a good smart play here.
Yeah.
They're both the same size, the 12 and the 14. If he shoots a 12 and hits it, then Keith has to either shoot a 14 to beat him, but he'd probably just shoot a 12 because he has the
More
ring
bonus
count.
rings, yeah.
But Darrin may just plug this 14. Who knows?
Oh, when he shot an 8.
I don't know exactly what he was shooting at right there.
Wow. So that's going to put him at 472, but he'll have the bonus ring count over Brad.
Yep.
Tied with Brad Martin at 472. You get second place.
Yeah, boy, right.
Unless that was straight low. Maybe he was looking at it like, if I miss the 14, I want to shoot low.
Gotcha.
And maybe he just come up. He was
Yeah.
already low on distance. Maybe
Yeah.
he didn't quite have it. I don't really know, but his line was perfect on the 14.
You ready to give us that thumbs up,
Keith, all he needs is an 8.
All right, the
Yeah.
1 minute starts now.
This is it.
8 to win.
He hasn't won since, it was 2 years ago, Coleman he won the ASA Classic. So this will be his second win in the pro class. All he needs an 8.
Got it. There it is. Smoked it.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, that looks good.
Call from Scott. Looks like a
Looks
solid
good.
10.
So
Yes.
that's a great win for Keith. Obviously, he's no stranger to this winning circle. Like you said, he's won the classic.
Yeah.
So that's about as good as they get at the ASA events.
Yeah, he is one of those guys. He's always working at the game. We should mention, hey, he is a professional archer, but he's a tree trimmer. He has a tree cutting business, so that's what he's doing. Not even 9 to 5, more like 6 till dark. But he's coming over to our headset here. There he is.
He's getting there.
Keith Ahlstrom, there you go. Second win, senior pro. How's that feel?
Feels pretty good. Whew, I about messed it up, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Oh, no.
All you needed was an 8. What's it like when you realize you're going up there, you and Darrin head to head, but then you realize all you need's an 8?
That made the shot pretty easy.
Yeah, I would think so. At that point, just plug it and you're good. But you didn't get to that point just by playing safe this whole weekend. So tell me a little bit about today.
So today was probably the best game I've ever shot at a national championship. Judged well, shot my bow great. Had a good guys to shoot with. Darrin gave me some fantastic arrows to shoot off of. And just worked good.
Yeah. And I think you're shooting a new bow this weekend.
I
Is that
am.
right?
Yep. I've been, up until this tournament, I've been shooting the Verdict 3 years. And Ahlstrom taught me into changing.
Well-
and I'm glad I did.
So do you owe him a percentage?
I'm going to give him an ice cream.
All right, Keith Ahlstrom, you are our Easton Hoyt Pro-Am champ and senior pro. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Congrats, buddy.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Senior Known Pro next.